Good Saturday morning, trappers. Today I'd like to talk to you about something near and dear to my heart. In the past few years, I have seen a major change in our industry. Now, our market has always been volatile. There's been nothing simple about it. Who are the real buyers of our fur? We see end product. We can look at brand labels. We can see that type of thing. We have a fur buyer and we have an international fur sales. There's a lot of people at the international fur sales, but I have no idea who they are, and I doubt many of you do as well. We're sitting now with a situation of where our fur is nearing zero value. We have lost sales capabilities. Port cities or cities in general do no longer allow fur to be sold in their communities. We have companies that have been, such as Canada Goose, that have elected to not use our valuable, needed articles, our renewable resource. Today I want to talk to you about an idea that I have had for a while on how to make a difference. Up until this point, we have always allowed companies to do all the marketing, to do all of the research. That's beneficial for their own company, and we've always felt that if they do the research, then they will turn right around and promote and will be the benefactors of that. I think today we have several things that we have to focus on. One of them is obviously legislation. We've got to get this stigma of what we do changed. The second thing we need to do is we need ourselves to be proactive also in the promotion of our fur. Pork, the other white meat, didn't happen by the big companies, by the slaughter plants. At the time, Oscar Mayer, Armour. It didn't happen that way. It happened because of the pork checkoff. Beef, the other white meat, that is not enacted just by the IBP and the different slaughtering plants. That was enacted by cattle producers. Today, I'd like to share with you my thoughts on how we can be proactive to get a general fund, and it would have to be earmarked, it would have to be carefully organized, and I'm proposing a fur checkoff, just like the pork checkoff. I'll go into my shop and we'll explain how that works. The pork, the other white meat, in the beginning was voluntary, as I recall. Don't hold me to that, but it was voluntary. And then it became mandatory. The way this works is a percentage of our fur check is taken out of the fur check, and then it's redistributed into the general fund. Not the general fund, but an earmarked fund for promotion and for legal issues. In our case, it would have to be a system that would be free of graft. It needs to be free. It needs to be controlled. It can't be pissed away, per se, by individuals who can't be accountable for such a large fund of money. Let's get into the shop and let's get down to it. I know this is a serious topic today, but I think this is serious times. We have it in our power, I believe, to make a difference in this industry. We have a power to take back that we've lost. So let's head into the shop, let's go to the whiteboard, and let's see what we can do about it. So the fur checkoff that I'm proposing has great opportunity for us to always be given on a yearly basis. It can range in small donations from the trapper who just shows up with a couple of dollars or a couple of muskrat hides and that type of thing to a person selling 1,000 raccoon or 300 coyotes, whatever. We all have an ability to take just a little bit of what we have and promote our own product, promote our fur, fight for our rights as a trapper. Let's talk about the math. Let's look at it. The fur checkoff is very simple that I'm proposing, and it's based upon the pork checkoff's numbers. Now, this is not ironclad by any means. We can make it what we want to, but it needs to be a little bit can go a long ways. But right now, the pork checkoff is at 35 cents per $100 value of fur. In other words, with the pork, for every $100 of pork that's sold, the farmer has 35 cents deducted out of his producer check. The way this is calculated is the value of your fur times 0.0035 equals the amount that's going to be paid to the checkoff. How does this all operate? So the buyer, it needs to be a chain, and we have to have everybody in that chain dedicated to this cause. It has to be through the producer, you the fur trapper, the fur hunter. Technically, you don't have to do anything. When you get your check and get your receipt, you're going to see a deduction from your check. The fur buyer has a list of receipts, and then when he gets done with his run and they're doing their bookwork and stuff, just like taxes are deducted out of our checks and whatever, the fur buyer now, he's been collecting 35 cents per 100, and say that he's had a $20,000 in fur purchases on the trip. He's also has a list of checkoff that he's also gotten. So what he'll do is he'll take that money and he'll send that into the checkoff association. That's my proposal on it. So anywhere fur is sold, the fur buyer, or the international fur sale, and this should not just be to the United States, it should be to Canada and the other areas. The whole world, really, if we really want to be proactive in this measure, is have this fur checkoff into this fund. And again, I don't know exactly who's going to be responsible, which organization is wanting to be that can take the hands up. I certainly don't want graft and greed and embezzlement happening. That being said, we're going to have to do something. So let's look at how much money it's going to cost us from our perspective. So I'm going to pull out my calculator here and say you're an individual and you sold $350 is what the fur buyer, that's what he determined your fur worth. Okay? That's when he adds up the $5 coons and a $10 skunk and a $15 coyote. He's going to write you a check for $350 normally. In this case, with a fur checkoff, I'm proposing, and we'll take our $350 times 0.0035 for this individual, times 0.0035. The amount paid into the checkoff will be $1.23 if we round up, because it's 1.225. $1.23 in this case for this deal. Let's look at a much bigger scenario. You say, well, $1.22 doesn't go very far. I'll bet you for all the $5 and the $10 collected for this in this country alone, just going to help the humanitarian crisis in Ukraine, I guarantee it's equaling millions of dollars. But let's look at a much bigger picture. And I'm using this based off of what I've seen with NAFA at one fur auction. And I've seen literally, let's go ahead and erase this. I've literally seen on the auction block with NAFA a few years ago, they would have 22,000 coyotes being sold. 22,000. Let's just, for the sake of this argument, we're going to give ourselves a $15 coyote average. Just using that as the example. $15. We have, got my thing. Okay. 22,000 times 15. So the fur value of just coyotes alone is at 330. Whoop. Put too many threes. $330,000 for just coyotes. Doesn't include anything else. And now I know the auction they're going to take their 11%, but let's forget about that at this time. Let's look at our contribution. So we're going to take this times our 0.0035. This is one auction, 0.0035. Out of this one sale, $1,155 is being generated off of this. Now the rates again can be changed. They can be adjusted. The point is that we need to do something. $1,000 is $1,000. How many fur sales, how many coyotes in the United States is sold every year? I mean, how many raccoon? Canada, Hungary. We all produce a lot of fur. This is an opportunity for us to do a little bit at a time. There is no raffle tickets being sold. The $1,155 that's being deducted is 35 cents per $100 in fur value. Most of us would never see it in our check. That's just the fact that we wouldn't miss that amount. Now we can adjust these things. We can go to 40 cents per $100. I don't want to go crazy with it. I don't want a tax of a major proportion. But selling raffle tickets isn't our answer. Going to state traffic conventions and paying our yearly dues is not solving our problem. I'm not telling you not to support our trapping organizations. That's not the point. The point is that we need a way that some type of income can be generated that is painless, that's consistent. As we trap, we can do two things. As we trap, we generate more income into our general fund. That fund can hire lobbyists. It can create advertising. We can do product development. We can fight and legislate. These things need to be earmarked before a dime is collected. It needs to be put out there. I've seen too much embezzlement and graft in this industry. It leads to a lot of mistrust. In this case, I'm proposing that we have a fur checkoff that can actually be proactive for anybody who sells fur in the United States. And again, the process that I'm proposing is that the fur buyer doesn't have to do a thing other than sell his fur. The fur trapper, the fur hunter, doesn't have to do a thing. The fur buyer, he's going to collect the money, and in his receipts, he will forward this to the Checkoff Association. I don't have an answer, guys. Whether it's the NTA, the fur harvesters, the Canadian Fur Board, I don't care who does this, but it's not in my power at this time. But for anybody who watches something like this, I want you to give me a call if you have any questions about this. If I can shed any light. Look at the pork checkoff online. You can Google that. You can find something like that. Selling raffle tickets and paying dues is not supporting our industry. It supports our association. It supports our districts. A fur checkoff would enable us to generate some type of income into this industry that could fight for our rights and also turn right around and do some type of promotion. I don't know the exact dollar amounts. Those aren't given to me. I don't know the end users. Maybe this is something that could also be a back tax coming the other way. The individuals who turn right around, I don't want to call it a tax, but we could all, what if the fur producers turn right around and also matched what the fur trappers did in the industry? What if our garment industry also backed that into it? In other words, meeting our fur trapper stuff. There's endless possibilities we can do. I can tell you this is I don't know enough people locally to sell $1 million in raffle tickets. I can't even probably sell 2,000 in raffle tickets. It just isn't in me. Trappers by nature are solitary creatures. That's what we do. We like to get in, be as quiet as we can, get our traps in, and get out. For some of us, we're natural born promoters. That isn't me. We need to do something that's painless at 35 cents per $100. I guarantee you, I am happy to support such a fund, general fund, that can actually be more proactive and perhaps save our industry for the long haul. We have a great product. It's not just about beauty and luxury and that type of thing as it's been made out to be. I think that there's value in just the fur garment itself for warmth, and it's a natural resource for biodegradability. It's a green product that we have. We have a renewable resource, something that's going to be there. Trappers manage our own. We manage the fur population, making it safer for all animals and a healthier population. Understand that. We have a valuable resource. I just thought of, there's also potential from other industries as well. Those who want to contribute. I think if we can get something like this, I think it could be a big boom for all of us in the fur trapping industry. Thank you, trappers, for your consideration. If you know some big dogs that want to get involved, I'm happy to discuss it. Give me a call. And until we meet again, tight chains, trappers.